while millions of Venezuelans scavenged through trash to eat, while entire families fled the country walking hundreds of kilometers, while hospitals operated without anesthesia and children died of malnutrition, Nicolas Maduro accumulated a fortune so obscene, so grotesque, so unimaginable that when federal agents stormed his properties on January 3, 2026, what they found left even veteran investigators who had seen everything speechless. This is not a documentary about just another dictator. This is the revelation of one of the most brutal looting operations in modern history. This is the inventory of horror, the list of what one man and his circle stole while his people died of hunger. How much gold can a man accumulate while his country crumbles? How many Rolexes can he wear while hospitals operate in darkness? How many bunkers can he build with money from the hunger of millions? How many secret accounts in tax havens can exist when your official salary is barely $500 a month? Today you're going to discover the answer to all those questions. And I warn you that what you're about to learn is going to change the way you understand the word corruption. I'm going to reveal 5 secrets that Maduro's regime tried to hide for more than a decade. First, the Fuerte Tiuna bunker and what was inside, military technology valued at hundreds of millions, physical gold accumulated in underground vaults, survival systems that could keep a person alive for years while outside the country collapsed. Second, the phantom properties, mansions in tax havens that never appeared in any official declaration, private jets registered in the names of shell companies, yachts moored in Mediterranean ports while in Venezuela, gasoline was scarce. Third, the frozen bank accounts, the numbers that US prosecutors are tracking right now. $1 million transfers to banks in Switzerland, Andorra, Panama, and the Cayman Islands. Money that left Venezuela while Venezuelans stood in 12-hour lines to buy a kilo of flour. Fourth, Maduro's personal collection. Watches that cost more than what a Venezuelan doctor would earn in 50 lifetimes. Custom-made Italian suits. Designer shoes he never wore twice. Jewelry whose total value could feed a city for months. And fifth, what they found in his residences the day of the capture. The complete inventory that federal agents compiled while Maduro and Celia Flores were being handcuffed. The safes opened, the secret tunnels explored, the hidden rooms photographed. I'll let you know when we reach each of these revelations. If you leave before the end, you'll miss the 5th one. And the 5th one is what explains exactly how much money Nicolas Maduro stole while Venezuela became the country with the greatest humanitarian crisis in the Western Hemisphere. Subscribe if you want to know the fortunes that dictators build while their peoples die of hunger, because this story has court documents, has leaked photographs, has testimonies from officials who decided to speak, and has something Nicolas Maduro never imagined the world would see. The exact inventory of everything he accumulated while his country emptied out. Let's begin. On January 3rd, 2026, at 2 in the morning Caracas time, 150 US military aircraft crossed Venezuelan airspace. The US Army Delta Force entered Fuerte Tiuna, the country's most important military base, Nicolas Maduro's last refuge. What they found there was not simply a fortified presidential residence. It was an underground palace of excess, a cathedral of systematic theft, a living museum of how a man can live like an emperor while millions die like beggars. The Fuerte Tiuna bunker had been built with Cuban technology during the last years of the regime. The walls were 30 centimeters of reinforced steel. The escape tunnels measured more than 2 kilometers and connected with secret exits distributed throughout the city. There were air, filtration systems that could protect against chemical, biological, and nuclear attacks. There were power generators capable of keeping everything running for years without connection to the external electrical grid. There were food warehouses with capacity to feed 50 people for a decade. All this while in Caracas, the electricity was cut 12 hours a day, and people cooked with firewood because there was no gas. But what really shocked the federal agents was not the bunker's military infrastructure. It was what was inside Maduro's personal vaults. According to leaked documents from the US Treasury Department, investigators found bars of pure gold stored in underground safety deposit boxes. They weren't small ingots. They were strategic reserves. Tons of Venezuelan gold that never left the country, that were never reported in the central bank's official inventories, that simply disappeared from state coffers and reappeared in the dictator's private basement. How many tons? Prosecutors are still calculating the exact number. But sources close to the investigation speak of figures ranging between 15 and 20 metric tons of pure gold. At current international market prices, that represents more than $1 billion. $1 billion in gold accumulated in a bunker, while Venezuela had the highest inflation on the planet, while people carried bills in wheelbarrows because money was worthless, while salaries evaporated every week and buying a chicken became an unattainable luxury for entire families. The agents also found cash: US dollars, euros, Swiss francs, British pounds, Chinese yuan. Stacks of bills packed in Louis Vuitton suitcases that were never opened. New money, freshly printed, that arrived in Venezuela as part of legitimate commercial transactions and ended up hidden in Maduro's personal closet. A federal agent who participated in the search described the scene as surreal. There was so much cash they had to bring additional vehicles to transport it all. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars literally stored in suitcases as if they were old clothes. And then there were the jewels. Diamond necklaces, gold bracelets with emerald inlays, rings with precious stones the size of walnuts, luxury watches that never appeared in any official photograph, limited edition Rolex Daytonas valued at more than $100,000 each, Patek Philippe Grand, complications that cost more than $500,000. Audemars Piguet Royal Oaks handmade with 18-karat gold. Richard Milles with titanium movements that cost more than $1 million. Maduro had more than 40 luxury watches in his personal collection. 40 watches while Venezuelan doctors earned $5 a month. 40 watches while teachers resigned because they couldn't pay for transportation to get to schools. The investigators also found clothing. Not ordinary clothing. Italian suits custom-made by private tailors from Milan and Rome. Each suit cost between $10,000 and $20,000. Maduro had more than 100 such suits. Egyptian silk shirts made by exclusive London workshops. Hand-stitched Italian leather shoes he never wore twice. Designer ties that cost more than a Venezuelan university professor's monthly salary. Hermes belts, Cartier cufflinks, Brunello Cucinelli handkerchiefs. Everything stored in climate-controlled closets with temperature and humidity controls to preserve the fabrics. All this while millions of Venezuelans wore the same clothes for years because buying new clothes was impossible. Celia Flores wasn't far behind. Her jewelry collection was even more impressive. Mikimoto pearl necklaces valued at more than $200,000 each. Cartier white gold bracelets with diamonds. Engagement rings she never wore but bought anyway. Van Cleef and Arpels earrings with Burmese rubies. Antique brooches that belonged to European aristocratic families. Her handbag collection occupied an entire room. Hermes Birkins in all available colors. Each bag cost between $30,000 and $300,000, depending on material and rarity. She had more than 60 Birkin bags. 60 bags that together were worth more than $5 million. Chanel classic flaps. Limited edition Louis Vuitton. Dior Lady Diors made with exotic skins. Everything stored on illuminated shelves as if they were museum pieces. Celia's shoes filled another complete room. Christian Louboutin, Manolo Blahnik, Jimmy Choo, Valentino. Shoes she never wore. Shoes she bought simply because she could. More than 200 pairs of designer shoes, while Venezuelan women walked in broken sandals because a pair of new shoes cost 3 months' salary. But the most obscene thing wasn't the luxury objects. It was the contrast. While Maduro accumulated million-dollar watches, Venezuelan hospitals operated without surgical gloves. While Celia bought $300,000 bags, Venezuelan mothers gave birth in hospital hallways without anesthesia, while they ate imported lobster and drank French wine that cost $1,000 a bottle. 7 million Venezuelans fled the country walking because they didn't have money even for a bus ticket. The federal agents also found something no one expected: works of art. Original paintings by Venezuelan and Latin American artists valued at millions of dollars. Sculptures that had disappeared from national museums during blackouts and protests. Pre-Columbian archaeological pieces that technically belonged to Venezuela's cultural heritage, but that Maduro had transferred to his private residence. Stolen art displayed on the walls of a bunker, while the country's museums closed for lack of budget, and public universities didn't have money even to pay for electricity. Maduro's wine cellar was legendary among the regime's inner circle. Bottles of Chateau Petrus that cost $10,000 each. Romanée Conti that reaches prices of $20,000. Wines that international collectors wait years to get. Maduro drank them at private dinners while discussing how to distribute state positions. The cellar had capacity for more than 2,000 bottles. It was climate-controlled, had automatic rotation systems, was guarded by armed guards 24 hours. All that luxury, all that excess, all that waste happening literally underground while above, in the streets of Caracas, people scavenged for food in garbage containers. The investigators found invoices, receipts from purchases made in luxury stores in Paris, Milan, Madrid, Miami. Purchases that totaled hundreds of thousands of dollars in a single day. Bank transfers to European fashion houses. Payments to Swiss jewelers. Shipments of luxury products directly to the presidential palace using private flights from the Venezuelan state. The people paid for the fuel for those planes. The people paid the pilots' salaries. The people paid for the aircraft's maintenance. And Maduro used those resources to bring Italian shoes and Swiss watches, while Venezuelan pharmacies didn't have aspirin. Now we reach the second revelation: the phantom properties. The real estate that never appeared in any official declaration, but that US prosecutors are tracking at this very moment. Nicolas Maduro officially earned $500 a month as president of Venezuela. That was his declared salary, $500 monthly. With that money, according to public records, he should have lived with the same austerity as any mid-level official. But the reality was completely different. Treasury Department investigators have identified at least 17 real estate properties linked directly or indirectly to Maduro, Celia Flores, and their closest family circle. 17 properties distributed in 6 different countries. None of them reported in official asset declarations. The first property that caught investigators' attention was a mansion in the Dominican Republic. Located in Cap Cana, one of the Caribbean's most exclusive residential areas, the property has direct ocean views, 4 main bedrooms, infinity pool, private dock, and helipad. The estimated market price exceeds $5 million. It's registered in the name of a shell company called Inversiones Caribe del Este, whose sole shareholder is a Dominican lawyer who worked for years as legal advisor to Venezuelan companies controlled by the state. When journalists tried to contact him, his office closed overnight and he disappeared. The second property is in Panama. It's a luxury apartment on the 42nd floor of a tower in Punta Pacifica, Panama City's most expensive neighborhood. It has 300 square meters, 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, terrace with jacuzzi and panoramic view of the Pacific Ocean. The apartment was purchased in 2015 for $2,800,000. The official buyer was an offshore company registered in the British Virgin Islands. The purchase documents were signed by a Panamanian frontman who later admitted to local investigators that he acted on behalf of third parties. He never revealed who those third parties were, but the bank transfers that financed the purchase came from Venezuelan accounts linked to the government. The third property is a villa in Turkey. It's located in Bodrum, a luxury resort on the Aegean Sea coast, where the European and Arab elites spend their summers. The villa has 6 bedrooms, heated pool, private gym, sauna, tennis court, and direct access to a private beach. It was purchased in 2017 for €4 million. The registered buyer was a Turkish businessman who has million-dollar contracts with PDVSA, the Venezuelan state oil company. When Turkish journalists investigated the transaction, they discovered the businessman had never visited the property. It was being managed by a real estate agency that received direct instructions from Caracas. The fourth property is an apartment in Madrid. Located in the Salamanca neighborhood, one of Spain's most expensive areas, the apartment has 250 square meters, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and views of the Retiro. It was purchased in 2014 for €1,600,000. The official buyer was a Spanish limited company whose partners were 2 Venezuelans residing in Madrid. One of them was Cilia Flores's nephew. The other was a former foreign ministry official who worked directly under Maduro's orders when he was foreign minister. The investigators also found evidence of properties in Mexico, Colombia, and the United States. In Miami specifically, they identified 3 apartments in Sunny Isles Beach, an area known as a refuge for Venezuelan money. The 3 apartments were purchased between 2012 and 2016 for a total of $6 million. They're registered in the names of offshore companies in Panama and the Cayman Islands. The bank transfers that paid for those apartments came from accounts in Swiss banks that are now frozen by order of US authorities. But properties aren't the only thing Maduro hid. There are also the vehicles. Not just any vehicles. We're talking about a collection of luxury automobiles that would make an Arab sheikh blush. According to testimonies from former regime officials who decided to cooperate with US prosecutors, Maduro had at least 12 high-end vehicles stored in private garages in Caracas. Armored Mercedes-Benz S-Class that cost more than $200,000 each. BMW 7 Series with custom finishes. Range Rover Autobiography that cost more than $150,000. And the crown jewel, a Rolls-Royce Phantom valued at more than $500,000 that Maduro used for private trips away from official cameras. All those vehicles were imported to Venezuela using customs exemptions intended for diplomatic equipment. The Venezuelan people paid the taxes that should have been charged. The Venezuelan people subsidized the gasoline those vehicles consumed. And Maduro drove them around Caracas, while most Venezuelans couldn't buy spare parts to keep their 20-year-old cars running. The private jets are another separate chapter. Maduro didn't travel on commercial planes, not even on the government's official planes that were available for presidential use. Maduro rented private jets from international companies for his personal trips and paid for them with public money disguised in consulting service contracts. A private flight from Caracas to Havana in a Gulfstream G650 jet costs approximately $100,000. Maduro made that trip dozens of times. Each time the Venezuelan state paid the bill. Each time that money came from coffers that should have been used to buy medicines or food. The investigators also tracked yachts, luxury vessels moored in Mediterranean ports that supposedly belonged to Venezuelan businessmen close to the regime. but that Maduro and his family used for private vacations. One of those yachts, a Princess 88 30 meters long, was photographed in Saint-Tropez in 2018 with Celia Flores aboard. The yacht had 4 cabins, deck jacuzzi, state-of-the-art entertainment system, and a crew of 8 people. The rental cost of such a yacht exceeds $100,000 per week. But Maduro wasn't renting it. According to leaked banking documents, that yacht was owned by an offshore company in Malta, whose final beneficiary was a frontman linked to the Venezuelan government. All this while, Venezuela was crumbling, while public hospitals had no running water, while schools closed because they couldn't pay teachers, while millions of people fled the country because staying meant dying of hunger. Now we reach the third revelation: the frozen bank accounts. The numbers that US prosecutors are tracking right now, and that reveal the real magnitude of the looting. On January 3rd, 2026, the same day Maduro was captured, the US Treasury Department issued freezing orders against more than 200 bank accounts distributed in 18 countries. 200 accounts linked directly or indirectly to Nicolas Maduro, Celia Flores, their close relatives, and a network of front men who operated for more than a decade to hide the stolen money. The total frozen amount is still being calculated, but sources close to the investigation speak of figures exceeding $2 billion. $2 billion hidden in banks in Switzerland, Andorra, Panama, Cayman Islands, British Virgin Islands, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, Singapore, and Hong Kong. The largest account identified so far is in a Swiss private bank in Geneva. It was opened in 2014 in the name of a Liechtenstein foundation, whose final beneficiary was a Panamanian offshore company, controlled by a Venezuelan lawyer who worked as Maduro's legal advisor for years. The account had a balance of $320 million when it was frozen. $320 million in a single account, while Venezuela had the highest infant mortality rate in Latin America. The investigators discovered that money reached that account through a complex network of international transfers. First, it left Venezuela as payment for fictitious consulting services billed by phantom companies. Then it passed through correspondent banks in Panama and Miami. Then it was transferred to intermediary accounts in the Cayman Islands. Finally, it arrived in Switzerland completely laundered, completely clean, impossible to trace without years of forensic financial investigation. Another important account was found in Andorra. Andorra is a tax haven hidden between Spain and France, where private banking operates with levels of secrecy that make Switzerland look transparent. The account was in the name of an Andorran anonymous company whose sole shareholder was a Spanish citizen who had never visited Venezuela but received direct instructions from Caracas on how to manage the money. The account had $180 million. The money had arrived there through transfers from Venezuelan companies that supposedly exported food, but in reality exported nothing. They were false invoices used to legally take dollars out of the country. In Panama, investigators identified 23 different accounts linked to Maduro's circle. Some were in the names of offshore companies, others in the names of Panamanian citizens who acted as front men. Together, they totaled more than $400 million. The money had left Venezuela using the CADIVI system, a currency control mechanism that supposedly served for Venezuelan businessmen to buy dollars at official price to import products. But in practice, CADIVI became the most efficient theft machine Venezuela has ever known. Businessmen aligned with the regime requested dollars to import food or medicines that never arrived. They received the dollars at subsidized price. They transferred them to accounts abroad, and the Venezuelan state lost billions that later ended up in Maduro's and his circle's pockets. The prosecutors also found accounts in the British Virgin Islands. The BVI, as they're known, are the favorite offshore haven of dictators and financial criminals because they allow creating companies without revealing who's behind them. Maduro and his circle created more than 50 offshore companies in the BVAR between 2010 and 2020. Each company had bank accounts. Each account received million-dollar transfers from Venezuela. When British investigators finally accessed those records under US pressure, they discovered the accounts totaled more than $600 million. But the most shocking finding was in Singapore. Singapore is one of the world's most sophisticated financial centers. Its banking system is practically impenetrable without official cooperation. For years, it functioned as the perfect refuge for Asian and Latin American dictators' money. The investigators discovered that Maduro had opened accounts in 3 private banks in Singapore between 2015 and 2019. The accounts were in the names of companies registered in Hong Kong and Samoa. Together, they contained more than $400 million. The money had arrived there from China, using fraudulent oil contracts between PDVSA and phantom Chinese companies. US prosecutors also tracked investments. Maduro didn't just keep money in bank accounts. He invested it. He had shares in European investment funds. He had corporate bonds issued by US technology companies. He had stakes in hedge funds operating from the Cayman Islands. Everything bought with money stolen from the Venezuelan people. Everything generating returns that increased his fortune while Venezuela sank into misery. A former Venezuelan central bank official who decided to cooperate with US prosecutors revealed something chilling. According to his testimony, just between 2013 and 2018, more than $5 billion left Venezuela illegally using mechanisms controlled directly by Maduro and his inner circle. $5 billion in 5 years. $1 billion per year. Almost $3 million per day. While the Venezuelan minimum wage fell to less than $5 a month, the investigators also discovered that Maduro used cryptocurrencies to move money, specifically Bitcoin and Ethereum. Between 2017 and 2020, the Venezuelan regime created its own official cryptocurrency called Petro, supposedly backed by the country's oil reserves. It was a total failure. Nobody used it. Nobody accepted it. But it served another purpose. It served for regime officials to convert worthless bolivars into real cryptocurrencies that they later exchanged for dollars on international exchanges. US prosecutors tracked cryptocurrency transactions linked to Maduro worth more than $100 million. All that money was stolen. It wasn't legally earned. It wasn't inherited. It wasn't the product of legitimate investments. It was stolen from the Venezuelan people. Every dollar in those accounts represents food that didn't reach a hospital, medicines that weren't bought, salaries that weren't paid, schools that weren't built, future that didn't exist. Now we reach the 4th revelation, Maduro's personal collection, the luxury objects he accumulated while millions of Venezuelans fled the country. When federal agents searched Maduro's private residences on January 3rd, 2026, they found something they meticulously documented. A collection of luxury objects so obscene, so disproportionate, so grotesquely unnecessary that even veteran investigators who had seen the excess of drug traffickers and mobsters were shocked. This wasn't the collection of a luxury lover. It was the pathological accumulation of a kleptocrat who stole because he could, who bought because he could, who accumulated without limit while his people died without limit. Maduro's watch collection occupied 3 special display cases with LED lighting and humidity control. Each case contained between 15 and 20 watches. Most were brands that ordinary people have never heard of because they're so far out of reach of any normal person that they're not even publicly advertised. Patek Philippe Grandmaster Chime, the world's most expensive watch, valued at $31 million. Maduro had one. It was purchased at a private auction in Geneva in 2018. The payment was made through a Swiss intermediary who received the money from a Panamanian account controlled by Venezuelan frontmen. Richard Mille, R.M. 56-02. Sapphire, a completely transparent watch made of sapphire with visible tourbillon movement. It cost more than $2 million. Maduro had two, Jacob & Co. billionaire watch, a watch covered with 260 carats of emerald diamonds that costs $18 million. Maduro wore it exactly once at a private dinner in 2019 and then stored it in the case. Audemars Piguet, Royal Oak Grande. Complication in rose gold, valued at $800,000. Maduro had three different variations. Rolex Daytona, Paul Newman, a vintage watch that reached prices of $17 million at auctions. Maduro had an authentic one purchased from a European private collector. The list continues. Vacheron Constantin Tour de Lille, valued at $1,500,000. Hublot Big Bang diamond completely covered in diamonds, valued at $5 million. Grubel Forsey, GMT Earth, a watch with an incorporated three-dimensional globe that cost $700,000. A. Lange and Söhne Grand Complication, valued at $2,800,000. FP. Jeune Tourbillon, Souverain in platinum, valued at $400,000. 43 watches in total. The collection's combined value exceeds $80 million. $80 million in watches, while Venezuelan doctors earned $5 a month. $80 million that could have bought medicines for the entire Venezuelan hospital system for a year. $80 million that could have paid the salaries of 50,000 teachers for 2 years. $80 million spent on objects that only served to measure time, while millions of Venezuelans felt time was running out because they had nothing to eat. But the watches were just the beginning. Celia Flores' jewelry collection was even more impressive and more obscene. The investigators found more than 200 high-end jewelry pieces stored in climate-controlled safes. Cartier diamond necklaces valued at more than $500,000 each. Bulgari white gold bracelets with Colombian emeralds. Van Cleef & Arpels rings with 5-carat diamonds. Harry Winston earrings with Burmese sapphires. Tiffany & Company brooches from the Blue Book collection. One single piece especially caught investigators' attention. A Mikimoto pearl necklace known as the Queen of the Caribbean. It was made specifically for Celia Flores by private commission in 2016. It contains 120 perfectly spherical pearls, each more than 12 millimeters in diameter, with a white gold clasp encrusted with diamonds and emeralds. The necklace was valued by experts at more than $1,200,000. Celia wore it exactly twice, both at private events outside Venezuela, where official cameras weren't present. Then she stored it along with the rest of her collection. Celia's handbags filled a complete room the size of a standard bedroom. Illuminated shelves displayed each bag as if it were a museum piece. Hermes Birkins in all available colors and materials. Black Perosa's crocodile Birkin, the most expensive in the world, valued at $300,000. Rose gold Birkin with 24-carat gold hardware, valued at $250,000. Himalaya Birkin of gradient-dyed Nile crocodile with embedded diamonds, valued at $500,000. Chanel classic flaps in limited editions that never reached public stores. Louis Vuitton tribute patchwork, one of the brand's most expensive bags, valued at $45,000. Dior Lady Dior in crocodile with gold details, valued at $30,000. Fendi Peekaboo in python skin, valued at $20,000. Valentino Rockstud limited edition, 68 bags in total. The combined value exceeds $12 million. $12 million in bags while Venezuelan women walked kilometers looking for food for their children. $12 million that could have built 20 schools. $12 million spent on objects that only served to carry other luxury objects. Celia's shoes occupied another complete room. More than 300 pairs of designer shoes, organized by brand and color. Christian Louboutin in all imaginable styles. Manolo Blahnik with Swarovski crystal inlays. Jimmy Choo limited edition. Valentino Rockstud in 5 different colors. Giuseppe Zanotti with solid gold heels. Roger Vivier with precious stone buckles. Each pair cost between $1,000 and $5,000. The collection's total value exceeded $1 million. And then there was the clothing. The investigators found more than 200 custom-made suits for Maduro. We're not talking about suits bought in department stores. We're talking about suits sewn specifically for his body by private tailors from Europe's most exclusive fashion houses. Brioni, Kiton, Cesare Attolini, Zegna Couture. Each suit cost between $10,000 and $20,000. Egyptian silk shirts made by Charvet in Paris. Each shirt cost more than $1,000. Limited edition Hermès ties. John Lobb shoes handmade in London. Celia had more than 150 designer dresses. Chanel haute couture valued at $50,000 each. Dior, evening gowns that cost between $30,000 and $80,000. Valentino, Versace, Gucci, Prada, all stored in climate-controlled closets with special velvet-lined hangers to avoid damaging the fabrics. The investigators also found something particularly obscene. A collection of fur coats, Russian mink, chinchilla, Arctic fox, astrakhan. More than 30 coats valued at a total of $2 million. Coats for cold weather in a tropical country where it's never cold. Coats that Celia only wore when she traveled to Europe in winter. Coats bought with stolen money while millions of Venezuelans didn't even have a sheet to cover themselves at night. Maduro's wine cellar contained more than 2,000 bottles. They weren't ordinary wines. They were bottles that private collectors wait decades to get. Chateau Petrus, 1982, considered one of the best wines of the 20th century, valued at $10,000 per bottle. Maduro had 12 bottles. Romanée Conti, 1990, the world's most expensive wine, which reaches prices of $20,000 per bottle. Maduro had 8 bottles. Chateau Lafite Rothschild, 1869, a historic bottle valued at more than $100,000. Maduro had 1. The complete wine collection was valued at more than $5 million. $5 million in alcohol while Venezuelans died for lack of drinking water. The investigators also found Cuban cigars. Not just any cigars. Cohiba Bahique, the world's most exclusive and expensive cigar. Each box of 25 cigars costs more than $10,000. Maduro had 50 boxes. Trinidad Fundadores, cigars made exclusively for Fidel Castro that were later commercialized in very limited editions. Maduro had 20 boxes. The cigar collection's total value exceeded $1 million. And then there were the liquors. 60-year-old Macallan whiskey valued at $30,000 per bottle. Maduro had 6 bottles. Louis XIII, Remy Martin Black Pearl Cognac, valued at $100,000 per bottle. Maduro had 3. Rousseau Baltique vodka, covered in gold with diamond inlays, valued at $1,300,000 per bottle. Maduro had 1 he never opened. All these objects were photographed, catalogued, documented, and now they're part of the evidence that U.S. prosecutors will present at trial. Every watch, every bag, every bottle of wine, every suit, every shoe represents one more proof of the systematic looting that Maduro and Celia Flores executed for more than a decade. Now we reach the 5th and final revelation, what they found in his residences the day of the capture. The complete inventory that federal agents compiled while Maduro and Celia Flores were being handcuffed. On January 3rd, 2026, when Delta Force soldiers stormed Fuerte Tiuna, they didn't just capture Maduro and Celia Flores. They also secured the scene. They sealed all the rooms, they blocked all exits, and they began the most exhaustive forensic documentation process ever conducted against a foreign head of state in modern U.S. history. The Fuerte Tiuna bunker had 7 underground levels. The first 3 were common areas: meeting rooms, dining rooms, industrial kitchens, bedrooms for bodyguards. But the 4 lower levels were private. Only Maduro, Celia, and a circle of fewer than 10 people had access. Everything was there. On the 4th level, they found the gold vaults, 3 reinforced rooms with 30-centimeter thick steel doors. Inside, there were safety deposit boxes stacked from floor to ceiling. Each box contained 1 kilo bars of pure gold. The agents began counting. It took 6 hours. In the end, the inventory recorded 17 metric tons of physical gold valued at more than $1.1 billion at the market price at the time. But the gold wasn't alone. In the same room, they found old coins. Venezuelan gold coins from the colonial era, Spanish coins from the 17th century, coins that belonged to national historical heritage, but that Maduro had transferred to his private bunker. The historical value of those coins is incalculable. Some were unique, pieces that Venezuelan museums had been looking for decades without knowing they were hidden underground in the dictator's personal vault. On the 5th level, they found Maduro and Celia's private rooms. Master bedroom with king-size bed, 3,000 thread Egyptian silk sheets, pillows filled with goose feathers imported from Hungary, bathroom with Italian marble bathtub, 24-karat gold faucets, Japanese Toto Neorest toilet with remote control that cost $10,000, climate-controlled closets where the suits, shoes, bags, jewels were stored. The investigators also found something disturbing: a private pharmacy fully equipped with medications that didn't exist in any Venezuelan hospital. Insulin, latest generation antibiotics, antivirals, opioid painkillers, cancer medications. Everything stored in special refrigerators with controlled temperature. While Venezuelan hospitals didn't even have aspirin, Maduro had enough medications to care for 100 people for years. On the 6th level, they found the communications center, latest generation computers with encrypted satellite connections, encrypted phones, servers that stored classified documents. The investigators confiscated all the equipment. Now, FBI technicians are analyzing every file, every email, every document stored on those servers. According to sources close to the investigation, what they're finding is devastating. Conversations between Maduro and leaders of international criminal organizations, documented bank transfers, written orders that directly link Maduro to drug trafficking operations. On the 7th level, the deepest in the bunker, they found something no one expected: a private movie theater with capacity for 20 people, latest generation projection screen, Dolby Atmos surround sound system, reclining Italian leather seats. Maduro had a collection of more than 500 movies in 4K Blu-ray format. While Venezuelan cinemas closed because there was no electricity, Maduro watched Hollywood movies in his private bunker with the best available technology. The agents also found cash hidden in unsuspected places: $100 bills inside shoeboxes, euros inside hollowed-out books, Swiss francs rolled inside toothpaste tubes, Canadian dollars inside empty champagne bottles. It seemed obsessive, compulsive, as if Maduro didn't even trust his own vaults and needed to hide money everywhere. In total, the agents counted more than $12 million in cash distributed throughout the bunker. $12 million in physical bills that were never deposited in any bank. that never appeared in any declaration, that were simply there, hidden, waiting. The investigators also confiscated documents, boxes and boxes of documents, oil contracts between PDVSA and phantom Chinese companies, false import invoices used to take dollars out of Venezuela, secret agreements with the Colombian FARC, bank transfers personally signed by Maduro, everything documented, everything saved, as if Maduro believed he would never be captured and those papers would never see the light. One of the most shocking documents was an agreement signed in 2017 between Maduro and Colombian ELN leaders. According to the document, the ELN would receive territorial protection in Venezuela in exchange for sharing drug trafficking profits. The document has Maduro's signature. It has official seals. It's direct evidence that the president of Venezuela made pacts with terrorists to traffic cocaine. US prosecutors also found payment lists, handwritten notebooks where Maduro personally noted who received how much money and why. Names of Venezuelan generals with amounts next to them. Diosdado Cabello, 20 million. Vladimir Padrino, 15 million. Tarek El Aissami, 30 million. Nestor Reverol, 10 million. An accounting of the loot distribution. Written proof of how Maduro distributed stolen money among those who kept him in power. In a separate safe, they found false passports. Not just Maduro's. False passports for his entire family. Venezuelan passports with false names. Nicaraguan passports. Cuban passports. Syrian passports. Maduro had escape plans. Identities prepared to flee if the time came. But he never got there in time to use them. The agents also confiscated Maduro and Cilia's personal phones. Latest generation iPhones with encrypted messaging applications. WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal. FBI technicians are extracting all the messages. According to leaked sources, they found conversations between Maduro and Mexican drug traffickers. Messages between Cilia and corrupt officials of the Venezuelan judicial system. Photographs of stacks of money sent as proof of payments. Videos recorded inside the presidential palace showing meetings with people who appear on US sanctions lists. One of the most shocking messages was sent by Maduro to Diosdado Cabello in 2019. It said, verbatim, "We need to accelerate shipments. The gringos are pressing. Move what you have stored before it's too late." Prosecutors interpret that message as a direct order to accelerate cocaine shipments before US sanctions completely blocked operations. The investigators also found keys to safety deposit boxes in foreign banks. Physical keys with engraved numbers that correspond to banks in Switzerland, Liechtenstein, and Singapore. Each key represents another safety deposit box that prosecutors are now tracking. Another hidden bank account. Another stash of stolen money. In the master bedroom, they found something particularly grotesque. A personal notebook of Cilia Flores, where she noted her luxury expenses. Hermès Paris, 60,000 euros. Cartier Geneva, 120,000 Swiss francs. Van Cleef Milan, 200,000 euros. Page after page of obscene expenses noted in her own handwriting. As if she kept a shopping diary, as if it gave her pleasure to document how much money she spent while her country died of hunger. The agents also confiscated works of art, paintings by Venezuelan artists that had disappeared from national museums during protests and blackouts. Pre-Columbian sculptures that belonged to the country's cultural heritage. Everything stolen, everything hidden in Maduro's private bunker. Some pieces were valued at millions of dollars. Others were invaluable simply because of their historical importance. In total, the complete inventory of what was confiscated at Fuerte Tiuna occupies more than 300 pages. Every object listed, every bank account documented, every transfer traced, every document photographed, everything now part of the evidence that US prosecutors will present at the trial against Nicolas Maduro and Cilia Flores. The contrast is brutal, overwhelming, unbearable. While Maduro accumulated 17 tons of gold in an underground bunker, Venezuelans sold their wedding rings to buy food. While Cilia spent 60,000 euros on a bag in Paris, Venezuelan women gave birth in hospitals without light and without anesthesia. While Maduro drank $20,000 wine per bottle, Venezuelan children scavenged for food in garbage. While they flew in private jets, millions of Venezuelans walked hundreds of kilometers fleeing the country. 7 million Venezuelans left their country between 2015 and 2025. 7 million people who fled from hunger, from violence, from desperation. Maduro watched them leave from his climate-controlled bunker. He watched them die while he accumulated. He watched them suffer while he spent. And now, it's all over. The bunker is empty. The gold is confiscated. The accounts are frozen. The bags, the watches, the wines, the suits, everything is in the hands of US authorities. And Maduro and Cilia Flores are in 6-square-meter cells in Brooklyn, without their million-dollar watches, without their $20,000 suits, without their $20,000 wine per bottle, without anything. Maduro wakes up every morning in a steel bed with a 1.5-inch mattress. He eats on plastic trays. He can't choose what to eat. He can't decide when to leave his cell. He can't talk to Cilia even though she's in the same building. He can't touch her. He can't see her. He's completely alone with the weight of what he did. Cilia wakes up with the same concrete walls, the same rib injuries that still hurt, the same bandages on her forehead, without her $300,000 bags, without her $5,000 shoes, without her $1 million jewels, without anything except a prison uniform and the certainty that she'll never live as she lived again. The prosecutors have the evidence. They have the recordings. They have the documents. They have the testimonies. They have everything. And on March 17th, 2026, begins the process that will determine if Maduro and Cilia Flores spend the rest of their lives in prison. But real justice has already arrived. Not the justice of the courts, the justice of contrast, of going from having everything to having nothing, from controlling a country to not being able to control even the moment you leave a cell, from living surrounded by obscene luxury to living in 6 square meters of cold concrete, 17 tons of gold, $2 billion in bank accounts, $80 million in watches, $12 million in bags, $5 million in wines. Everything stolen while Venezuela died. And now, Maduro and Cilia Flores have exactly the same as millions of Venezuelans who fled the country with just the clothes on their backs. Nothing, absolutely nothing, except that the Venezuelans who fled did so with dignity, with hope, with the desire to rebuild their lives elsewhere. Maduro and Cilia Flores fled from dignity decades ago, and now they have no hope. They only have cells and time. Lots of time to remember everything they stole, everything they destroyed, all the lives they ruined while they accumulated watches they never needed and drank wine they never appreciated. This is the story of Nicolas Maduro's hidden fortune. The fortune he built with the hunger of millions. The fortune he accumulated while his country emptied out. The fortune that is now confiscated, frozen, documented and exposed to the world. Subscribe so you don't miss the continuation of this story. On March 17th, there's a key hearing, and when that happens, you're going to want to know what it meant, because this is just beginning. The evidence will be presented, the testimonies will be heard, and the world will know the complete magnitude of the looting that Nicolas Maduro executed for more than a decade. Meanwhile, he wakes up every morning in Brooklyn, in a cell, without gold, without watches, without wine, without Celia, completely alone with the certainty that he'll never live as he lived again. And perhaps, just perhaps, that's the most perfect justice of all.